everybody. I'm called Dr. Nambuya Agatha, a physician from 1985 to 1912. So I've been a teacher in this medical school for a long time, and I'm surprised Dr. Nambuya still thinks I should come and teach. Well, thank you for inviting me and for discussing DKA. I'll just make general remarks because I was not given a topic. Number one, who is diabetic? Because to get ketoacidosis, diabetic ketoacidosis, the person must be diabetic. Okay, now who is diabetic? I always taught this physician, the cemeteries, everybody I used to tell them, every patient in front of you, or every human being in front of you is diabetic until you prove that that person is not diabetic. That's why Dr. Piroya is saying, maybe we miss, especially the children. They miss all of them. Do you know why they miss all of them? Because in children, onset of diabetes is an acute state. They come in collapsed. They come in coma. They come in convulsing. They come in irritated and fighting and what? Any presentation. And the pediatrician is busy looking for malaria, pneumonia, and so on. But they do well still, because if there is malaria and she notices malaria and treats the patient, maybe the DKA may not be as deep as it would be if the malaria was not. Because any illness in a person with diabetes will raise the blood sugar. Whether it's malaria, whether it's urinary tract, including drugs, which Dr. Nambuya talked about. They are busy giving steroids wherever you people don't know what you are treating. And you throw the person into ketoacidosis. So anyway, everybody who arrives, whether in a casualty, whether you are in your private clinic, where? Check the blood sugar. Because this person may not be a non-diabetic, but the sugar will go up, and in children very, very fast, and they will collapse and die. So before I retired, there was no Dr. Piroya. There was no pediatric endocrinologist in this hospital. She was actually begged on knees to go and train. She had actually refused. But thank God, she eventually agreed and went. And so she can understand why all children go to physicians. Because we said we cannot leave the children to die. We were managing children from Ward 4B down there with my team. Until she came, then we slowly shifted the children. But the public doesn't know her yet. She's yet to make known because they know the physicians. All right? So, that is just a general remark. Now let me go specific to some of the areas I was hearing. Let me start with HB1C. HB1C may not be useful in diagnosis, but it's very useful in monitoring the patient. Why do you get HB1C? Important. All proteins of the body will have some glucose molecules attached to it, provided there is ambient sugar. The higher the ambient sugar, the more the attachment. And so we measure HB1C because the glucose will attach on the hemoglobin. And so the more you have a high sugar level, the more it will attach. It is not automatic that today my sugar is very high, HB1C therefore must be high. It's not. It is a slow metabolic process. So when you get a person with blood sugar very high, HB1C normal, it doesn't mean that that person is not diabetic. He's diabetic by criteria of the blood sugar, not by criteria of the HbA1c. Because if it is acute hyperglycemia, HbA1c will be normal. So normally we check HbA1c by the life of the red blood cells. You know, they last 3 months. And so if you check your HbA1c every 3 months, you can see how has the sugar been for this particular patient. Maybe it was okay, 4% like that. But then now he has got a pneumonia, and the patient arrives with a high sugar with a normal HbA1c. So don't take HbA1c for diagnosis. Use it for monitoring, right? Then let's go to ketoacidosis by itself. They were wondering who develops ketoacidosis. Is it type 1? Is it type 2? But you must know that every diabetic can get ketoacidosis. It depends on how much insulin resistance the person has. If the person has insulin resistance from steroids, you get ketosis. Resistance from any stressful situation. Because when you get a pneumonia, a stroke, whatever, you release steroid hormones. And these steroid hormones will cause insulin resistance. And the higher the resistance, the more chances that you get ketoacidosis. Why does ketoacidosis occur? It occurs because there is not enough insulin in the person to promote the correct metabolism. So the thing is lack of insulin, either absolute, like in children, that the pancreas is not producing, or relative, that the person has too many steroid hormones or whatever, which are causing resistance. Okay? So just make sure to be sure that your patient is not in ketosis, whether adult or not. And who develops ketosis? Everybody does. How do they present? She has told you, non-diabetics, those ones who missed insulin and so on. But anybody can present with ketosis. A pregnant woman, somebody is prime gravida, goes in ketosis, goes in coma. Somebody gets a stroke, goes in coma. Is the coma due to the stroke or to the ketoacidosis? You cannot know unless you check the sugar levels. So everybody should have a sugar checked. In this hospital, we have lost one person whom I will not mention the name. This person was very normal, but was very diabetic and didn't, She got appendicitis, was rushed to theater, walked in, put on the bed, said, okay, madam, we are going to put a mask on you. They put a mask, but by the time they reached the table, she was dead. So every surgical patient, just check a blood sugar. Just check a blood sugar, okay? I'll stop there, and then we'll go to how we manage diabetic ketoacidosis. For me, I teach that whichever patient you have, identify the problems first. Oh, sorry. Whatever patient you have, identify the problems first. And management should be around those problems. So what's wrong with the patient with ketoacidosis? They already mentioned, I've also mentioned, they lack insulin. Number 2, they are lacking fluids. They are dehydrated. Okay? Number 3, they have electrolyte imbalance. Okay? Number 4, they are always, take it from me, they are always infected. When you have a high blood sugar, you get occult infection. Do you like it or not? And if you don't focus on it, controlling the sugar will become impossible. So they lack fluids, they lack insulin, they are lacking electrolytes, they are infected. Okay? And they are lacking care. Number 5. So when you are looking after this patient, replace the fluid. Number one, as she told you, always number one, fluids. And fluids, we mean normal. We don't mean ringers. We don't mean other things, plasmatics. I don't care. Only normal saline. How much each patient requires depends on how much the hydration. So you assess the patient yourself. Okay? Number two is insulin. You do not give long-acting insulins, whatever, in TKA. You always go for the rapid acting. I think they have a more rapid acting now, but we use soluble insulin. And how much to give? She has given the milligrams per kg and what. But for us in adults, we prefer to be more practical. Okay? You don't have, not all of us are mathematicians. So we said, a small dose, as she said, 6 units every hour, IV. You can give it IM, but remember they are dehydrated. Absorption is poor, so give it IV. 6 to 10 units. When you go more than 10 units, you will crash the sugar level, and the more quickly you lower the blood sugar level, the more you get cerebral edema. So we don't rush to push it down, but we rush to make sure we stop ketosis. Make sure the liver is no longer producing ketones by giving enough insulin. Okay? And when we manage the babies, we actually don't calculate. We follow the sugar level. Sugar level is 310 units. After 1 hour, blood sugar is 250, 10 units. How much is the sugar now? Okay, now it has dropped. Below 250, normally you say no more hourly. And we go to 6 hourly and so on. It may be complicated, but it's easy. Just give hourly if we are in millimoles until the sugar level drops to 15. 10 units every hour IV until the sugar drops to 15. At 15 is a turning point. What do you turn? You go away from hourly insulin to 6 hourly. You go away from intravenous to subcutaneous. Okay? And you go away from the fixed dose to a sliding. Sliding means you are going to give according to how much is the sugar level. And there you are safe, you cannot crush the sugar. And the other thing we go away from is from saline to 5% dextrose. She gives mannitol. In adults, we give 5% to maintain the osmotic pressure so that you don't get cerebral edema. Okay? Then what else? Potassium they have talked about. It's hard, but ideally you are supposed to have a measure, and then you calculate how much. And she's extremely right. The patient must be passing urine, and the patient must be on insulin. Why? Insulin will push the potassium back into the cells. The urine is going to eliminate the excess. If you give without those two, you throw the patient into hyperkalemia. Okay? Then that's all. You can ask more questions if you want.